What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 168. That's 168.
So it's almost 69.
Almost 69. My
You
not
fucking whores.
my not favorite number.
Be my
But this is 168. We are covering MK Ultra here at Ghost in the Night, a paranormal and true crime podcast. So, but before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe, all that shit. Let people know that you love us, and that would be so awesome. You know, you can share this and all that happy shit. Look at that. Share it.
It's not showing anything.
Oh, fuck. Whatever.
It wouldn't be us without a fuck up.
Yeah, but that would go a long way to actually supporting the podcast and growing the audience, because we do have some loyal listeners. Not many, but a few loyal.
We got like 17, maybe.
And we get quite a few downloads. I'm not disappointed with that, people.
Anything more than like 6, I'm happy with.
And we've had a good run there here on YouTube here lately. So all is good here in GITN land. But tonight we are talking MK Ultra. For those of you who, how many times here, Travis, have you heard the government has our best interests at heart? They're working on our behalf.
That's because they do.
Until they don't. And MK Ultra is a perfect example of the government not giving a rat's ass about anything but themselves and what they want. If you don't think the government will do things to harm you, to hurt you in any way, to, let's be honest, fuck you up, you're strongly mistaken.
Right, and your poop shoot.
Yes.
Stink.
They will bend you over and break it off in you with a quickness. And MK Ultra is a perfect example of that.
There's 2 names in here that we're missing that I'm really upset about.
Oh shit. But MK Ultra. We don't this is gonna be a long one probably. Or not a long one, but there's a lot to get to with this one. So we are going to dive right in it. Generally we like to cut it up with you guys in the live stream a little bit before we get started. Me and Travis like to bullshit a little bit before we get started, but we are going to dive deep and get into it rather quickly.
Excuse me.
Because there's a lot. Sorry, I had a flashback there for a minute. There's a lot to get to.
First boyfriend.
He was a handsome man.
Did you have a flashback of his Patrick Star?
No. All right, MK Ultra. MK Ultra was a code name for an illegal, yes, I said illegal, human experiments done by the CIA. They used drugs like LSD to develop interrogation techniques. Also, they had a goal of brainwashing and removing a person, learning how to, or seeing, I guess is a better way, to see if you could remove memories and replace them with false ones. So
Deception.
They ripped off the CIA. It began roughly
You can't spell DiCaprio without a C-I and an A.
Thank you for the English lesson.
You can, however, spell Joseph Gordon-Levitt without C-I and A.
Okay, if you say so. I'm not thinking. I don't think on podcast night. I barely function. Where was I? Oh, began roughly in 1953. Well, 1953, 1954, somewhere in that range. A lot of these facts, if you want to call them facts, which they are, because this has been proven, there is documentation, but there is not a lot of documentation for a very good reason, which we will get into.
Because it's the government?
Yeah. But, for an even better reason, but we'll get into that here when we start talking about it.
They sure as fuck leaked a whole bunch of fucked up shit about Martin Luther King, though.
Yes, they did. But it began 1953, 1954, somewhere in that range. Now, they said it ended around 63, 65. But that's not entirely true. They say there was some portions of it that ran up through 1973. So they say.
If it ever fucking ended.
That is a good point. And
they're putting fluoride in the water.
Well, that's another conspiracy.
Turning the freaking frogs gay.
They turned everybody gay.
With the fluoride.
With the fluoride. But did it end? Did it not end? That's a good question. Who knows? I would say this. The general idea of the whole operation did not end. They renamed it, and they probably aren't doing what they did. I would imagine what they did back, some of the experiments that they did back in the 60s. I'm sure they're not doing now.
Yeah, it's because they're fucking worse.
Right. But they're test subjects.
Like, what'd you do with the experimentees today in 1964? I gave them all one hit of acid, and then I flipped the lights on a couple times. What did you do with the experimentees in 2022?
Now,
you remember that? You remember that Velociraptor we cloned off of DNA?
now,
Let's just say,
now MK,
I can't talk about it, Jim.
MK Ultra wasn't the first operation that they did with LSD and some of these drugs. It was preceded by two projects: Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke. First and foremost, whoever's naming these projects and operations,
There's a method to that. I forget what it is, but there is a method to the madness of these names. It's like the first letter of something, and then something.
like MK Ultra, kind of makes sense a little bit, just replacing the C with a K, mind control. I mean, I get it, but
I mean, it's just edgy with a K.
But Project Bluebird and Artichoke were basically
Blutochoke.
they were drug experiments, and but mainly with animals. And they, didn't quite do human test. They hadn't got to human testing yet. The FDA hadn't approved it for human testing. I'm being so facetious. But in 1953, when MK Ultra got its balls and started running,
Balls.
it was headed by a man by the name of Sidney Gottlieb. He it was actually started by the CIA director.
Here's the first problem with this. Before you even go any further,
What?
You never trust a man named Sidney.
You trust a woman named Sidney too? It's questionable. But Mr.
I don't know. They like to break shit. Like
they
Pepsi machines.
That's what I heard.
That fucking dickhead.
I heard
Just because she wants to be a strong, independent woman. Ask for help, dick.
Matter of fact, I was speaking to her. I think it was last Sunday, actually. What's up? Izzy's here.
If anybody's in the area, the semi-regional area of us, go check Izzy's live show out. He's gonna be up to the
But I was speaking to said person who broke the Pepsi machine.
Fucking dickhead.
And I told her she gets a lot of airtime on this podcast.
Yeah,
we discuss her a lot.
It's not always in a good light.
And then she asked me, she goes, "Well, when are you going to have me on?"
When I'm not worried about you breaking my shit.
That is true. We'll do it by phone. That way she can only break her phone.
Jesus.
So we have to come up with a topic for her to come on.
Breaking shit.
We'll figure something out. But anyway, where was I at?
Mechanical things.
MK Ultra was started, like I said, started by Gottlieb, but he got the okay and the go-ahead to buy the director, Mr. Alan Dulles. We've heard
Dulles?
Dulles. We've heard.
Isn't there an Air Force base or something like that?
Yeah, Dulles Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And his brother, I think, was in the Air Force. But Dulles was the one Kennedy fired.
But
and that was on the Warren Commission.
Are there aliens at Dulles Air Force Base coming in, small town deputy coming into the big city, blowing this case wide the fuck open?
Aliens has nothing to do with MK Ultra. Nothing to do with it. Yeah, but Mr. Dulles contacted Sidney and said, "Hey, I got this great idea. I like what you're doing. I like the way your mind works.
But let's shove sugar cubes laced with LSD up their asses too."
Yes. Dulles started because of now this all started like most of our projects. I've done an episode, and I want to do another episode on remote viewing.
This started like most of our projects. The person in charge assigned groups of 3 to 4, and then everybody argued because they didn't want to be in a project group with that person because that person was mean to their friend at recess.
Yes, something like that, but different. Most of our projects start because we are worried about this. You got to remember this is cold.
Jeff Fishstick. Sorry, that's a new one. I like it.
What's up, Jeff? Most of these secretive programs start because you got to remember this was Cold War time.
Mm-hmm.
This was peak Cold War.
Yeah, because there was totally nothing weird, fucked up going on in the world during that time.
And
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall.
Well, that was the 80s. That comes down later.
It's still a fucking Cold
But
War.
we were all worried about communism back then, because communism was going to ruin the world.
What the fuck kind of question is that?
What?
I just got a text message that said, "You want meatballs? Don't fucking ask." Of course I want meatballs. Who doesn't want meatballs? I want all those meaty balls in my mouth.
I don't even know why.
So go ahead. You were talking about Mikhail Gorbachev?
No, you were talking about Mikhail Gorbachev. I was not. I think Stalin was still in time. In the time frame that I'm in, Stalin was still in time.
That weird birthmark?
No.
Putin? Inflating gas prices?
No. Dulles started this because of the intel that the Soviet Union and North Korea was working on similar projects during the Korean War. And it started as a defensive project.
Korean War. Yet another one that ended well.
And what kind of got this started was when the POWs were coming back, our POWs that were coming back, they were acting a little funny. And thought, they said, you know what, them North Koreans, them Russians, ain't that bad. They're all right dudes. And naturally Dulles and the brass.
They're far out, man.
The brass that, was in charge said, there's something wrong in Denmark here. We got to get to the bottom of this. So they thought that the POWs coming back were brainwashed. And they said, boys, we got to figure out a freaking way to deprogram these some bitches and get them back to a good old American way of doing shit.
Drugs.
So they
just like the TikToks with all the cats.
Drugs. So they started this MK Ultra into basically to deprogram the POWs coming back. It was a defensive.
God, I'm going to go full on Rage Against the Machine by the end of this episode. Deprogram yourself from the government. Stand up for what you believe in. You got to fight. Stand up for your right. Party.
But
that's not Rage Against the Machines, but
no, that's Beastie Boys, but that's a little different. We can't mention Rage Against the Machine.
Dude, that's funny. I was talking about that yesterday. When I take my glasses off, I look more Asian.
Yes, you do.
I mean, it makes sense. They're just magnifying glasses, really, on my face.
So it opens your eyes up.
I like to have conversations when I do it because it changes me as a person. I'm like, yeah. So, Jim, I was looking at the tax figures and I was looking at those OET reports. And the thing you have to remember is when you fire the reporter, you have to put the pink sticky note. If not the pink sticky note, the blue sticky note mean suffer different. You go in a different file forever. Always rush.
So
never find the brew.
I want to state a rule.
Okay, we're back
on this podcast. When you go into your Asian voice and your Japanese voice, which you have the right to do because you are part Japanese, but for the visual people who take this in, you need to take your glasses off every time you do it because there is no doubt.
I can accept this responsibility. I need a sword. I can get the sword. I grab a katana when I do the voice. And every time I put on the glasses, I commit a seppuku.
All right. So, who did the government, or I should say the CIA, test these drugs and these torture techniques? Because that's what they are. They were torturing these people.
Yeah.
Who did they do this to? Well, I have the answer.
Sprinkle us with knowledge.
They tested general volunteers, natural. Hey, you want to come, take some LSD and, maybe.
That's a way cooler version than like, hey, come test this fucking anti-eczema drug for $37 plus gas money.
They did have some volunteer help. They did some soldiers because the Army was also kind of keyed into this and probably had their own version of it. They did inmates. They were big on the inmates.
Naturally. Same thing the Chinese doctor artist person did with the human body exhibits.
Yes.
Which, you know what I'm talking about? He literally he would extract the nervous system and it'd be like all the veins from one body and then it'd be like all the musculature, the skeleton, And then there was other ones that were like split down the middle, and you could see the full anatomy of the inside of the human body. And they were encased in like epoxy resin or some shit like that. Yeah, so you could like just literally see a dissected human body, or like the whole nerve system taken from, and it'd be like layered. So it was like the nerves into the skeletal structure, into the muscularity, and then like the dermis and eyes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it caused a big fuss. Chinese people were like, "You not do that to our son. He a prisoner that he do bad thing."
You're doing Chinese voice now. You're being insensitive.
Well, that's why I changed it a little bit.
Oh, okay, but they did volunteer soldiers and
I didn't speak fake Chinese. Actually, that's not really Chinese. That's more Vietnamese. Chinese, a lot of.
Oh God, we are so getting canceled after this.
And then you go south. The more south you go, the more the
All right, let me get back to this. Jesus, while we're still on the air, let me get back to this. Like I said, volunteers, soldiers, inmates, and here's where people start having the problem, and this is where it gets freaky. They were testing on civilians of the United States without their knowledge. We're not talking maybe the fluoride in the water. I don't think they dosed the water. No, they didn't do that.
We're Floridians.
That's where the name came from. I don't know.
Florida?
Yes.
Florida? Shawty got low?
Yes, now...
But did anybody in this experiment have the apple bottom jeans? Or the boots with the fur?
I would assume 60s. I guarantee there's some boots of fur. Guarantee it. San Francisco at that time? Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. But yeah, this is where things go awry and things get, how should we say, illegal. Just, I'm just
Although it's illegal for us, but like the government can do whatever the fuck they want.
Actually, here's the thing. I want to get into. I thought about getting into this later. I think I might have took it out. There are such things called the Geneva Agreement.
Yeah.
And the Nuremberg trials. Nuremberg.
Nürburgring.
Now,
where they max out cars.
Now, everybody knows that the Nuremberg trials were against war crimes
Mm-hmm.
that the Nazis did, experimenting and killing people, right? And even some Japanese people.
Oh, speaking of, sidebar.
Oh.
What the fuck is wrong with Whoopi Goldberg? Did you see what she said? Why she got kicked off the View?
I'm just thinking how I want to word this.
I'll word it, you fucking idiot. That's white people doing white people shit.
That's
shit,
not racist.
Like the fuck, like
what?
And then somebody that stands for the there's somebody who's part of the Anti-Defamation League corrected her on Twitter, and all she has to say is, "I stand corrected."
Yeah.
Is that how it works? Like.
I mean,
is that what Morgan Wallen did after he got caught on camera yelling the N-word in the middle of the fucking suburbs?
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that, Morgan. I stand corrected.
A lot of people...
All is forgiven.
A lot of people forget. They just view things through their own experience.
View.
And yes, pun intended. They think race is about color. Race has nothing to do with color. You and I are different races.
Well, no.
Well,
not right now.
Now
we are different races.
Now we're different races. But race has nothing to do with color. Yes, certain races do have different complexions, but the Jewish people are a different race than the German people.
The older black lady with the predator hair, she disrespect the Jews.
So in my
she's now a mortal enemy of the rising sun. We would vanquish her and her family from the earth with great prejudice.
So according to my definition of racism,
I just thought it was so stupid.
It is.
Like, how do you misspeak that atrociously on national television?
Because her version of racism, which I am 100%.
Yeah, everybody sees things differently, but
well,
it was just so misinformed.
The experiences that she has had being a woman of color
in Hollywood,
and in
comedy,
there is no doubt she has experienced racism in her
yeah.
life. So that is what she's seeing. That is her experience with it. But racism goes much past color. It goes whatever. It goes way past color. It's much more. It's just not white people. Now,
Well, and that was my thing. The first thing I thought of when I saw it, I was like, when she said what she said, when I read what she said, I was like, okay, so sidebar, not really sidebar, but does that mean that, like, as somebody who's not of, that isn't of black descent, African American, whatever you prefer to be called, I don't think.
which they don't. I don't. You can't really say
I know,
that
I
anymore.
know plenty of people that, like, they're just like, call me black, because I couldn't tell you where we're from, where my family was originally from, or who was the first one here. That's neither here nor there. But my whole thing was like, okay, so if that's the way you're gonna look at it, do I know? Should I have never, or will I never give another fuck when there's like a Hutu and Tutsi thing going on in Rwanda, and 1 million people, because it's all African black people involved in that. So should nobody else give a fuck about that? No, no, that's not how that fucking works.
These are questions that are beyond my.
Atrocities are atrocities, no matter what the fucking skin color.
Correct. I agree completely.
If the guy was, the dude that drove through that Black Lives Matter thing or whatever that was, whatever, in his Charger.
Oh, after the.
If that was a bunch of white people and it was a black guy that did it, it would have been just as shitty.
I agree.
If it was an Indian guy and there was a bunch of Pakistani people that he drove through, just as shitty. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't even know why you feel the need to say something like that.
I agree. But
different color than me, don't care.
I agree. Shit. Horrible actions are horrible actions against everybody.
Like, in my mind, that's like saying, like, I know this is a bit far fetched, but that's like that's almost like saying, like, rape isn't as bad if they're gay, because I don't like gays. Not saying that I don't, but like, so like if a hardcore religious person said that, I'd be like, that makes no fucking sense. The humans are still humans, dick face.
Right.
You fucking dumb.
Hey, JP's here.
That bad.
I we'll get back to MK Ultra in just a second.
Like some of these celebrities and the shit that comes out of their mouth sometimes, like, it makes me, like, in my mind, I turn into the quarterback from fucking Waterboy. I just look at him on the news and I'm like, Urgh!
I know. All right, let's get back. I'm sure we'll break off into another
fucking
tangent.
idiots.
Now, we were talking about the test subject of MK Ultra. Like I said earlier, volunteers, soldiers, inmates, and yes, the government, CIA, I should say, experiment on unknowing citizens. Now, you might be asking, how do you know this? This can't be true. The government would never do anything to hurt their citizens. They would never. I mean, first and foremost, the government is not one thing. The government is like an octopus.
It's like a hydra.
It has a lot of different tentacles. Is that the right word for octopus's arms? Tentacles. Yeah. And the one tentacle doesn't know what tentacle number 7 is doing. They're working independently of each other. And
which is also a good analogy.
Oh,
look, a fucking spam account.
Awesome. Each tentacle is made up of a lot of suction cups, or whatever they're called. And those suction cups are made out of people. In my think of it that way.
I'm picturing it in my head.
So the octopus might not be bad, but some of those people inside that suction cup, inside that tentacle, have shitty ideas and be very ruthless and power hungry and do some shitty things.
One bad apple spoils the bunch.
But the head of the octopus does not know necessarily what's going on. That being the word government. And it's proven by today, like, look at the UFO situation. Congress had to have Commander Fravor come testify because they knew nothing about the shit. This happened to a naval fleet. Four naval pilots interacted with the Tic Tac on the same night or day or whatever. 2 different times, 2 and 2.
That's 4.
Like I said, 4 naval pilots. Don't fucking correct my math. I can do 2 + 2.
-1, that's 3 quick maths.
You get above 10, it gets a little sketchy.
Everyday man's on the block.
Yes.
Smoke trees.
But the government, the Congress, the Senate, whatever, they don't know what the fuck's going on. It's all need to know type shit. And if you don't need to know, you don't need to know. So to think that...
That's how I like to live my life. It's need to know, and you don't need to fucking know.
So if you think that every member of... that if you get a government job or you are elected to some government position, they sit you in a room and give you the American Book of Secrets.
Yeah. Nicolas
Cage comes out and just hands that shit to you. That's not how the fucking shit happens.
And apparently, according to the what is it? That one kid conspiracy. Apparently, once you reach a certain level, they make you fuck children.
Yes, apparently.
So that they have dirt on you.
So you will ask, well, how can this be? The government is made up of, like I said, many different branches, many different people. Thousands upon thousands of people.
And they're all pieces of shit.
So
I say 95% of them are pieces of shit somehow.
There can be a few people that just want results and say, hey, I got an idea. Let's experiment on humans or on citizens that have no idea. And some guy said, not a bad idea. And you might say, how do we know this? That's not true. But yes, it is. This was proven by testimony from Stansfield Turner, the CIA director at the time when I think the church committee was like in 75, 74, 75.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 congressional hearings on this. It was 76, I believe. But Stansfield testified who they experimented on. Like I said earlier, volunteers, soldiers, prisoners in prison, inmates from prison, and apparently we tested some civilians that did not know we were testing them.
See, now, if they would have just followed Whoopi Goldberg standards, if they would have just done it to government officials, nobody would care because that's in the government, and we don't need to care about that because we're not part of the government.
Right. Now, this falls under, like I've mentioned the, Geneva, the Nuremberg trials and all that. Those are more for war crimes, I believe. So I don't think this it's somebody will probably know this better than I do. I don't think they are actually breaking the Geneva Convention when they do this, but it's still fucking shitty. Maybe they are. I don't know. But I thought it was mainly war crimes. You can't do this shit in war. You can't torture and do shit like that to prisoners of war. Now, is a citizen a prisoner of war? No. Some might think we are now, but that's beside the point. So I kind of leave that out of it. It's just shitty the government will experiment on its population without them knowing.
God, they're definitely going to hear the mariachi band on this recording.
Oh, absolutely.
They're fucking jamming over there.
I'm just surprised you got your parking spot. I'm surprised you got your parking spot on that one.
Well, it is technically not a legal parking spot, so.
Would you be surprised? There's somebody parked there every night here lately.
Oh, is there?
Fuck yeah.
Fucking assholes.
Especially with the fucking snow.
Yeah, I guess.
So, it's how you can, it's definitely criminal. And nobody has ever went to jail for this. Ever went to jail for all this. Now, the government did pay off one family I know for sure. Because guess what? Some people died. And we're going to talk about a casualty of this. And here's how fucked up, this next story is how fucked up the CIA is. Because CIA was apparently just a bunch of frat boys. Getting busy and,
butt chugging.
Hazing people. Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Frank Olson who was a biological warfare scientist. In 1953, the CIA reached out, Mr. Gottlieb, I should say, reached out.
Olson with an E?
No. Oh, no.
Oh. So you're trying to say that the Olsen twins might not have been born, but created?
I don't know. That's a conspiracy for another episode. We can get to that. And did they kill Danny? Maybe.
Oh no, I wasn't that big into that show.
I wasn't either.
I was more of a Home Improvement guy.
Yes.
And Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay, you lost me there.
And Martin.
Martin was much better.
Martin was fucking hilarious.
In 1953, the CIA reached out to him, or Sidney Gottlieb reached out about him helping out with the mind control research.
Yes.
He realized things might not be what they, he got involved, said, cool, I want to do this. This is fascinating work. This is what I want to do. And,
This is what's really going to save the world.
and then quickly he realized things aren't, something's wrong. We ain't in Kansas no more, Toto. They are torturing these people. They are they're getting them to trip balls and torturing the fuck out of these motherfuckers.
Wait, so you're telling me that for once in my lifetime, somebody named Sydney was trying to fix something instead of breaking it?
Well,
My mind is simply blown.
now he witnessed, torturing during these interrogations because they were working on interrogation techniques. Because when they first, like I said earlier, they formed this as a defensive to deprogram prisoners of war. Quickly, like everything else that the government does, it quickly turned offensive. They said, okay, let's or interrogation techniques. How can we, break the suspect or whatever person, whatever it is, interrogee. How can we break them down? Can we create a truth serum type kind of thing? And this is all what they were looking into at this point.
Because did they not have sodium pentothal at the time?
I think, I might be wrong, but I think this is where it might have spawned from this, but don't quote me on that. But he was witnessing torture during these experiments. He's a scientist, not a bright motherfucker. He knows
it's scientist.
He knows he's working for the CIA. He's not stupid. He knows, hey, I'm helping the CIA with this. He expressed to a coworker some concerns about this. Shortly after, he was invited to a party hosted by Mr. Gottlieb himself. And you know what Mr. Gottlieb did at this party?
I imagine he dosed people or killed that guy.
He dosed every one of those motherfuckers. It was in the punch.
That'd be a pretty lit fucking CIA party.
Well,
like the movie. Have you seen the movie Office Christmas Party?
Is that with Jennifer Aniston and what's his?
I don't. Is that Jennifer Aniston in it?
Yeah, played the sis and Bateman.
I've only seen it once. Yeah, he's
Bateman
in it.
and what's his name from? What's the comedian's name or from Deadpool?
Sean William Scott?
No.
Or, Ryan Reynolds?
No, the bartender.
T.J. Miller.
T.J. Miller, he's in it too.
Yeah.
Plays the dumb brother. Jennifer Aniston is his brother.
What the fuck is happening over here?
But anyway, he expressed concern. Told us.
They're listening.
Told a member of who's listening. Probably. He expressed to a coworker that some shit wasn't right, and he wasn't really comfortable. So he a few weeks later he went to a party hosted by Mr. Gottlieb where they toasted everybody or dosed everybody with Kool-Aid. Excuse me. Now, he had a bad trip essentially.
Yeah.
He was never right after this. He was paranoid and all that shit. The CIA agents that were dosing these people, he went and said, something's wrong here. The CIA said, okay, we need to get you to get checked out. We know some people. So his doctor, a CIA agent, went and we're going to take him to a retreat. Not really.
We ain't talking sandals here.
Well, it was
or
supposed
secrets.
a psychiatric hospital type thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But they got there early.
Anybody who refers to that as a retreat is a fucking cockknocker.
They got together.
Cockknocker really threw him off.
Yeah, got me thinking. Now, Frank was he was looking forward to going to this. Now, his mental health was breaking down. Basically, he was having a nervous breakdown, essentially. They recommend him go to this hospital. I'll just use, instead of retreat, I'll use hospital. So Frank and his doctor and a CIA coworker went up to this town where the hospital was at. They got there the day before. They stayed in a hotel. This is where the story gets a little weird. Apparently, some reports say that he just went crazy and jumped out the window and did the old swan dive and committed suicide. Now, his family did not think he committed suicide, but it was ruled a suicide. The family requested a second autopsy. Because naturally, a CIA doctor did the autopsy, and
Yeah.
he just did a swan dive, and it was over. He was unhappy. He was having a mental breakdown.
Let me show. This is what happens when the CIA kills somebody and the CIA doctor does the autopsy. He walks in the room with a bag of flaming hot Cheetos. This guy's dead. My good. Okay, I'll see you guys later.
Now, but like I said, the family requested a second autopsy, and on this second autopsy, the doctor or the doctor, I guess, what's it? ME that did this one.
Medical examiner.
Yes. There, he found what was a severe blow to the head that wasn't consistent with the splat.
Yeah, because you'd think that he would just be smushed at that point.
Right. This was not caused by the
They got really lazy. They just whacked him super hard with something and caved his head in, and then
push.
Is there any evidence of the fall? They literally just open the window on the first floor of a house and just toss him into the flower bed. They're like, oh, he jumped. Tragic.
Now,
He jumped off the roof of the house and killed himself. It's a fucking ranch, Tim.
I would hope. Now, we all know what the CIA does. You know, they gather
centralize intelligence.
They gather intelligence. They overthrow governments, and yes, apparently they do maybe
feed drugs into inner cities and into unknowing people.
And they probably
and train Al Qaeda.
They probably do a little assassination. Obviously, in 1953, whatever this year, 54, 55, whatever this was.
I was the Wild Wild West.
They hadn't perfected the assassination portion of their program. Crack the guy overhead and just push him over. I would think they'd be a little bit better covering the tracks a little bit. Maybe after this, they said, "Oh, we need to rethink our assassination program." Not saying that the CIA does assassinations.
Yeah.
Do not come after me for that. I don't want to jump out a window. Now, there are some people that believe that the CIA was trying, MK Ultra, or CIA with MK Ultra was trying to create what they call a Manchurian candidate.
Denzel.
Which, for those
was
of you...
Was he in Manchurian Candidate? The remake?
Yes, him and Wolverine's brother, I believe. Him and Wolverine's brother.
Oh, I don't know that guy.
Liev Schreiber or whatever. Ray Donovan. He was in it, I think, too. I think he was actually...
I thought that was a woman for the longest time when I saw that name on, like, movie promos and shit. Trailers, I guess would be the word.
Right.
You know those things? The moving pictures?
Yes. I've heard of them. I'm broke. I
miss the good stop motion days.
I can't afford to see that shit.
Where every movie had the same soundtrack.
But for you people who aren't aware or have never heard of the Manchurian Candidate, what that is, it's a goal to create a super assassin by replacing his memories, or not really replacing his memories, but giving him like a code word to where hypnosis, basically. People think of it. I think of what was that show? Now You See Me.
The movie?
Yeah, the movie with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
With the magicians, and Woody Harrelson's the hypnosis.
Yeah.
Hypnotizes or whatever. Hypnotizes the crowd, and they said football, they all run for him.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. To where they can activate this super assassin by a word or a smell or whatever the trigger might be. And then they would have no memory of it whatsoever. This would be the removing of memories.
That shit crazy.
Now, mind control is basically this was the mind control portion of it. It was, they wanted to be able to take out these memories and then be able to trigger them and do it, which in theory would be a great way to actually do an assassination or to get a spy. Because they can't, they're not going to give up the goods if they don't remember. They can't give up their...
What would be the word? What would be the trigger?
Sugar bottom.
Was that actually it?
No.
Well, there's got to be... They have to have something... it's got to be something off the fucking wall. Pineapple flavored peanuts or like some shit like that. Something that you would hope doesn't exist.
Right, but they tried to do this Manchurian candidate by, dosing them, using LSD, mind-altering drugs, and hypnosis, and all. That was what they were trying to do. Now, there was a doctor that actually worked in MK Ultra. This was his goal, and it was Dr. Evan Cameron. He was a respected psychiatrist interested in D-patterning.
2 first names.
I know you can't trust him. D-patterning, which
Does he wear a tunic too?
Probably.
I learned from the movie Land of the Lost, starring Will Ferrell and Danny McBride, that you can never trust a dude in a tunic.
I did not see it, but he was well respected, and he was very interested in, trying to use mind control to do this and removing and replacing things in the brain. Cameron focused on people with issues, with mental issues or hard lives or whatever. Didn't come from the best of circumstances.
He should have used the people that are demonically possessed.
Yes, because he thought they were much better for the LSD test. They could be broken down much easier by using the techniques that they were using, drugs, and even, let's be honest, they were using electroshock therapy too.
They were finger popping each other's assholes.
I'm sure that was going on too, but I have no proof of that.
That's how you get somebody to listen. Finger pop their asshole a couple good times.
Yes. But he would give people drugs and put them into pitch black rooms with no windows and play the same recording over and over again. So probably, they get him tripping balls, put him in a dark room and play like Miley Cyrus over and over and over and over and over again. Or Jewel yodeling or whatever. People coppers getting a little
sassy bitch.
Yeah. Now,
so they're basically trying to make a bunch of baracas from fucking Street Fighter.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but maybe.
Or isn't that how? What else was there? What was that?
What?
What movie was that where they did that with monkeys or chimps?
I have no idea.
I think was it 28 Days Later?
Maybe.
Where they were like basically making just rage. Because the zombies in 28 Days Later were just basically just hate zombies. They were infected with rage.
Right.
I want to rewatch that. I haven't watched that one in a while.
We'll have to.
When the guy walks by the window and that one fucking soldier zombie's just like, but all zombified. It's a good one.
Now, Cameron eventually retires, and they report the experiment was a failure. But were they? That is the good question. And there's a reason why I say, was it really a failure? And toward the end, I'm going to talk about something that seems a lot like maybe they had a little bit more success. Great success, and they pulled it off. But that'll be toward the latter part of this when we get toward the end. Now, MK Ultra was really just a name. It was an umbrella for much smaller projects, because that's how the government works. They separate shit and nobody knows what the fuck's going on. How they did the nuclear bomb or the atomic bomb.
This was way before it was a shitty beer.
The atomic bomb. I never thought about that. Michelob Ultra, MK Ultra.
Mick Ultra.
All you motherfuckers are getting brainwashed. They're drinking that MK Ultra bullshit or the.
And it's got fluoride in it.
Oh fuck! You're all fucked. I was around a lot of Manchurian candidates last night, probably. But it was basically just an umbrella for much smaller, programs. Now, I have heard a number that there was actually 180 sub projects of MK Ultra, and there is one that is the most famous of them all, and everybody's heard about it. If you haven't heard about it, you've been under a rock, and that is the infamous.
And his name is John Cena.
No, this is the infamous Operation Midnight Climax, baby. The great now
stinks.
That is the best code name I've ever heard, and to the point.
I don't know. Codename Kids Next Door was pretty good.
Now, here's what Midnight Climax was. Midnight Climax was. CIA set up shop, and I'm using shop loosely. They created rented rooms and stuff like that in San Francisco and New York They brought in a gentleman by the name of George Hunter White, who was a narcotics officer by trade. You know, he originally was a narcotics officer.
Hi, Phil's mom.
Hello, mother. I guess maybe that was before the ATF. I don't know. I guess that kind of, but a narcotics officer who liked to dose people, who liked to give drugs to people. And who
He
doesn't?
fit in just fine,
Right.
fine at this time.
But he was brought over to oversee the information. He set up several makeshift bordellos.
You think anybody ever used the fucking water coolers at CIA headquarters during this time?
They have.
I bet you they still don't.
No, they have.
I bet you they've had the
70s.
same. They've had the same fucking Evian 5-gallon thing on the water cooler since 1962 at the CIA offices.
Probably.
It was like, why doesn't anybody? Man, I'm really thirsty. You new here? Don't ever drink this water at the CIA.
You'll be.
What if it's sealed? You stupid? Haven't you ever seen any movie with the CIA, bitch?
But
We just fucking we open it, put the acid in there, and then we take a hot needle and go. Same.
But what Georgie boy did, he set up bordellos, or for if you don't know what a bordello is, brothels.
Watch Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood.
I say whorehouses, whatever, just a room. But they would hire.
What was it? A house of ill repute.
Yes, you know Dolly Parton, best little whorehouse in Texas or San Francisco.
Ain't no 9 to 5 in that place.
Oh, absolutely not. But they would hire prostitutes to go get these, or to bring their Johns here. Not men named Johns, but their married husbands or married men that would like to partake in the extracurricular activities.
These fornicators.
They just wanted to get laid, which I can imagine that there's people like that in 2022.
Yeah.
2 of them probably sitting here.
Yeah. I'm a child of the Lord. I'm saving myself for marriage. And I'm also working 9 to 5.
But they would bring these men to these rooms, and the prostitute would actually dose them with LSD and naturally fornicate with them, get them off. Now, what they were really trying to do is see what they said MK Ultra or Midnight Climax was actually about was getting people to give up secrets. So they would dose them, let them have sex, and they wanted to see after sex if the guy would give up, maybe be a little bit more open to sharing information.
I mean, that's normal, isn't it?
You want to know anything from me? Blowjob will do it.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best conversations I have have been after sex.
Right. I mean, you don't need the dose. You didn't even need LSD for this experiment.
Right.
Every male.
Now, I don't know if that works with working girls. I feel like I never would go that route. But if I did, I feel like I wouldn't be hanging around once it was all said and done.
Now, this project went a little bit further. Naturally, they wanted to see if they could extract information or get them to give up information more freely, but also they wanted to see if they could give them subliminal messages and start programming people this way as well, in hopes to brainwash them, basically. Now, here's the thing about Mr. George.
Mr. George?
And I should say, this program was actually brilliant to a certain extent because their test subjects, yes, they were citizens. They were not aware. They did not give consent. However, these dudes that went into this, was hooking up with these hookers, they weren't going to tell. They weren't going to say.
What, they were going to brothels?
Yeah, honey, what's wrong with you? I don't know. I just don't feel well. I was with a hooker last night, and I think they dosed me. They're going to take that shit to the fucking grave. So it was
I was hanging out with the boys.
yeah, and Travis dosed me, which has happened in real life, but that's a story for another day.
Not by me.
Oh, you got me. Yes, you've dosed me. I know you dosed me.
I haven't.
Uh-huh. I don't lie.
Not against you, like not when you don't know it. I've gotten you fucked up,
You
but you
dosed me.
knew what you were doing.
I did not know it was going to be that bad. Don't. No.
That's not my fault.
Yes, it is.
That's a whole different thing. It's not like I'm over here dropping shit in your drink.
No, that's my story. I'm sticking that. Now, good old Georgie boy was actually a pervert, and he would observe these interactions between the guys and the prostitutes
Ugh.
via a two-way mirror. You know what he did?
Jacked off?
I'll get to that. He had a bar installed. Liked to drink him some martinis. So
This is not experimentation. That's voyeurism.
Wait,
You're sitting there drinking a
dude.
fucking Cosmo, watching two people fuck.
it gets worse. He has the.
What, did he have like a butt plug in his ass or something like that?
No, just the opposite. He had them install a toilet so he wouldn't have to leave. He would sit on the toilet, drop a deuce, probably yank the chain.
He's just sitting on the shitter,
with
taking
Mar-
it, just like smoking a fucking Pall Mall, watching two people fuck. Like what? What?
I mean, I give him credit. The toilet paper's right there, so you know he was jerking. He was yanking his chain. Got toilet
You'd
paper right
have
there.
to. You'd think he had to.
So cleanup was much
Oh
easier.
shit!
He could flush the evidence, but the martinis is what really throws me. Sitting on the toilet, taking a shit, jerking off in one
Are
hand.
we sure he wasn't also the owner of this establishment?
Oh no, I don't think so.
What the fuck? Like, what'd you do at work today, honey? I got drunk and watched people bang.
But
So good day at the office? Yeah. Took 2 shits.
2 shits and blew 5 loads. No,
Ooh, it's our anniversary. Get the fuck away from me.
don't touch me.
It's already got bruises on it.
Oh, buddy.
Just bring me my meatloaf and go to hell, Barbara.
Now, Operation Midnight Climax was kind of fucked up. I will say that. Just kind of fucked up.
Well, yeah.
It sounds to me.
You checked the fucked up Mark when you had the fucking CIA approved peep show going on.
It sounds to me like he just didn't want to pay for Cinemax. He was getting paid to.
Yeah, what if somebody would have come in there and boondock singed him?
I don't know. Okay, let's get to this. MK Ultra had its own tentacles into many different areas. Now, places they really focused in on academic institutions, basically. And apparently they had
That's a given.
they had over 80 universities and academic institutions working for them or doing projects for them.
I think my spine's gonna fall out.
Well, wait till after the show. I don't want to carry this shit on my own.
Just sit here like that old fucking after school weed special. He's like, this is all she does since she started smoking weed, and it's like a deflated human body, and she's just like,
But like I said, they had over 80 institutions, academic institutions, universities and such, partaking in experiments or doing research for them. Now, some of them knew and some of them didn't.
was Kent State one of them?
I don't know. I have a list like Georgetown, Harvard,
Harvard.
Oklahoma, Maryland, where some were just to name a few
Harvard.
that I'm 100% sure that they were doing experiments. But there's another like the Allen Institute. I think the Allen Institute was in Canada, I believe. It was one of the first ones.
Phoenix University.
Trump University.
Arizona State.
Yes.
Arizona State would have been a perfect one. That's the school that like the girls were doing pornos for extra money and shit.
Right. That is kind of. I find that they were getting basically, even the ones that
Shut up.
they were funding. They were funding a lot of research, especially over 80 freaking colleges and institutions.
Yeah.
How much money does these fuckers have? Of course, you got an open checkbook, I guess, when you work for the government.
Right.
Yep. Now, let's kind of get into some fun shit a little bit, and this is where we're going to kind of go off the rails a little bit and get into the.
Yeah, and another thought is like, what? Of course they have an empty or a bottomless wallet. What the fuck is anybody gonna say? You're gonna get the chemicals to make LSD, and the company's gonna be like, hey, you guys never paid the last invoice, and it's like, Ted, we've known each other a really long time.
I'll tell you what.
You've been a really nice guy. Been good to me and my family. I will literally fucking murder you, and they'll never find your body.
We're going to get to famous possible participants of these experiments here in a second. But let's just go ahead and wrap.
Courtney Love.
No. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Crazy bitch.
Let's go ahead and tell how this ends now.
DeVry University. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah. Now,
SNHU.
like I said in the beginning of the podcast, they said it ended around 63, 64. But it did not officially end until 1973, if it ended at all, or just got renamed. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, the MK Ultra ended in 63, 64, and racism ended when the Emancipation Proclamation was read.
No, that's why we have Juneteenth.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That is why joke is.
Oh, I didn't get it. Okay. It officially ended in 73, apparently. Or that's when it was, okay, we are I guarantee you, I promise we're done.
I'm going to warn you.
What?
Farted.
We might be taking a break here, folks.
My stomach is starting to hurt. I've been holding it like this the whole time.
Now, by this time, it was, it definitely, by 73, it was a shell of itself.
Yeah.
If it was up and they weren't using the...
Well, by 73, there was already an influx of mass distrust of the government, so you couldn't really get away with this shit as openly as you could before that.
But really what broke this...
Which was on the back of Vietnam, really.
What broke this was, in where the CIA kind of started freaking out a little bit, was the Watergate issues. They said, oh shit, we got some problems.
Goddamn. They're like, this motherfucking Forrest Gump guy just blowing our spot up. Dickhead.
And this is why there's not a lot of documents on MK Ultra. Richard Helm, who was the director...
I don't know if they're looking for something, but they got flashlights.
Richard Helms and good old Sidney Gottlieb.
Is he this has deep reaching fucking inclinations. Is this person related to the amazing what I can't think of the fancy word for actor, Edward Helms?
I do not know. I did not do
of The Hangover fame?
I do not know. I did not dive that deep into this, honestly, so I do not know.
Questions that need to be answered.
But Richard Helms was the director, and Sidney Gottlieb...
Maybe the guy that fucking was watching the fucking was Jason Bateman.
Funny. Oh, God. Anyway, Helms and Gottlieb thought... They were nervous, and they thought, you know what? It might be best if we shred all the MK Ultra documents.
No.
So... nothing to see here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or better yet, fucking burn them.
We weren't dosing people. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no evidence of that. But
they're like, were you dosing people with illegal narcotics? No, officer, I don't know what you're talking about. We have reason to believe that while you were in charge, bloop, did you just put something in my drink? No, I don't know what you're talking about. I just watched you put something in my drink. Sleep.
These are not the documents you're looking for. These are not the documents you're looking for.
I'm going to need you to look at my watch.
No, but luckily for us,
lucky for us,
the CIA, obviously in 1973, was not the smartest of people. Or they had just had some brain farts every now and then, like what's coming out of your ass this evening.
It was just one.
They did manage to shred all the evidence and documents of MK Ultra, except they forgot about the financial reports and documents, like 16,000 of them.
Another one, Jesus.
16,000 documents that were stored off-site. And these came out.
And one of them, like the cover page was like, instructions on how to illegally dose people with LSD. How do you explain that one, Mr. Gottlieb? Dyslexic, bro, can't read.
But really, these financial documents are the only documents that...
I plead the 7th. It's the 5th. Whatever, man. I'm on acid. Clearly, you know this.
These were the only documents that they ever found related to MK Ultra that survived, I should say. These were brought to life in 74 and 75 by several newspaper articles. Back when, the people, the newspapers and did actual journalism and check shit out and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not just like some bullshit fucking mass shooting and then come check out the puppy fashion show at the Elks Club.
Yes.
And then stop and get some cupcakes from a new bakery that's opening up in your part of town. Susan's back with the weather after this.
But nothing, like I said earlier, nothing really came of it. There was 2 different, congressional committees. Nobody went to jail.
Of course.
There were some small payouts to families of at least one person that I know, Mr. Olson. Mr. Olson, if you people forgotten already, is the one who swan dived out the hotel through the CIA.
It's crazy. It's crazy how far his life spiraled after he retired from the Panthers.
I don't know why I put up with you sometimes.
Oh no, but I'm out of Olsen references now.
Okay, but
I think
so. Of course, nobody in the government. They never go to jail.
If they do, they never make it out.
I mean, let's face it. I don't even know why they have these congressional hearings and shit. Nobody ever goes to jail, even if they perjure themselves. They threaten, but nobody ever goes to fucking jail.
Right.
Unless you and me
they're
get
like the
called.
congressman that killed 17 people in a drunken stupor is facing allegations today in court. We'll be back after the court hearings with the rest. And they close the doors like, no cameras allowed. And like, they fucking just inside. They're like, oh, Jimbo, you son of a bitch. Like, you got the beer? And like, the fucking, like, they open a fake juror and it's a fridge.
Okay. But nobody ever went to jail. They never do. Nobody got. They probably don't know how many people they fucking killed or fucked up. Yeah. They can't know. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end. But now let's get to the fun stuff. And
you're telling me that the 2-way mirror fuck sessions
Oh,
were
those
the
are-
fun stuff?
no,
That's
that's
so creepy, man. You're sitting there drinking martinis, taking shit, watching people fuck. Like, what is that? Literally all he did? Was there magazines? Was he on TikTok or anything?
I know you say I'm old, but I wasn't there. But it sounds like a party to me.
I figured you built the room.
Maybe I was one
But
of the
like-
Johns.
And how big was the room? That's an interesting thought. Was it that was he just on the toilet all the time? Like there wasn't room for another seat?
Well, I would imagine you have to get up because anybody that's sat on the toilet I've sat
I
on
would
the toilet
hope
for
that-
too long. Your legs go numb because you're sitting a little bit lower. It's not like sitting in a chair. You're sitting a bit lower. You blood flow.
Yeah.
So I imagine you have to get up and stretch.
And how well was the ceiling on that 2-way mirror and shit? Like, how did he courtesy flush?
I don't know.
I wonder if that ever
These are good.
happened.
But let's-
I wonder if the guy was banging the sex worker, and one of them was just like, "Did you fart?" And you just hear a chuckle from the other side of the mirror. He's in there like, "Did you hear that? No." Or if he had like the just fiery diarrhea, like he had a bunch of Taco Bell the night before, and you just hear diarrhea sounds in the middle of lovemaking. That'll ruin a boner.
That would definitely ruin it. Where the fuck am I now?
Talking about diarrhea and drugs.
No, what I mean the fun stuff is where this is the conspiratorial. What we've talked about so far is proven. It's documented.
We're just scratching the fucking surface.
Now we're going to get into the weird shit. The weird shit that we're going to connect. There's no 2-way mirrors and no martinis.
Ew.
But
That's a boo-boo.
we're going to connect some dots here, and we're not going to connect shit. People have connected some dots, and we're going to talk about some famous people.
He was connecting dots from behind that mirror.
Would you get off Georgie Boy's dick?
I can't get over that. It's so weird.
This is where
That's like some fucking that's some Norman Bates shit.
it is. This is where things get. this is where things.
Norman Bates.
Oh God, I don't know why I put up with you. But this is where it gets interesting. Famous participants, possible participants of MK Ultra. Whitey Bulger. This falls
Which
on.
wouldn't surprise me because we know that Whitey Bulger was at least snitching his whole criminal career,
Right, but he's
which is why he got viciously killed when he got to prison.
But they think that he was experimenting on his first stint in prison because the CIA claims the claims of CIA dosing him. He claims, I should say, up to 50 times while he was in prison. And people close to him, once he came out of that prison the first time, that's when he went off the deep end and became the murderous bastard that he was. The taker of life. Now this came out in his trial. I think I read something on this that one of the jurors that was on his trial, it came out after his trial, and the juror said that they never knew this, but I think the LA Times did an article on it, connecting him to the MK Ultra program. Yes, you have holes in your shirt. Can't bring you anywhere.
Shirt's so old. It's so comfortable though, man. It's that comfy shirt I don't want to get rid of.
I don't blame you. But
also usually don't wear it like out anymore.
They did an interview with a juror that was on his trial, said this could have changed things. You know, could have went with the insanity plea. But I think the other...
Yeah, because the world would have been fucking better off if Whitey Bulger was on the streets more.
But did the MK Ultra experiments done on him fuck him up? Would he have been the crazed lunatic Irish mob assassin? He was the Irish mob, wasn't he?
Yeah. The Boston part of it.
But
because there's a whole nother guy in Cleveland. There's a movie about him.
Yeah. I mean, did it change him? Did it make him the heartless killer that he was? Good question. Another one which we're going to talk to is Charlie Manson. We're going to talk a lot more about Charlie here.
Old Chuck.
We're going to talk a lot more about Charlie here in a little bit because I have a whole shit pot full on him. But I just want to...
Which he's one of the weird ones that, like, how much can we really talk about?
Oh, we can talk. We're going to do.
Well,
we're going to do.
And it's just because, like, anybody you ask, I've seen a couple people that were locked up with Charles Manson talk about it and say, like, oh, all that crazy shit went out the window as soon as the cameras were out of the room. Once he went back to the cell block, he was just weird, kind of quiet and normal, and he liked country music or some shit. It was what one guy said.
We're going to.
He said he liked to play like a certain game, and he liked this kind of music, and other than that, he stuck to himself and just stayed in his cell.
Oh, I have a shit pot full on Charlie, basically. And
Charlie Manson or Charlie from All Dogs Go to Heaven?
Charlie Manson.
Charlie!
But another one, the Unabomber, Mr. Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Teddy Boy he's a genius.
I was gonna say, if they did fuck with him, then he should be their star child in a fucked up way.
He was a smart motherfucker that graduated from Harvard
star boy.
with a degree in mathematics. He went to Michigan to get his post grad shit, I guess, and he eventually became a professor at Cal Berkeley. And this was in the 60s. Well, he graduated in 62, I think. I think it was 62 from Harvard. So 63, 64, I believe it was at Cal Berkeley as a professor.
Yes.
Wow.
You think you like automatically get like vests and then sweaters with suede elbow pads and like a pipe when you become a professor?
Probably.
Like
or you might have to get tenure first. You might have
like Lawrence Fishburne from Higher Learning.
Maybe. I do not know.
Great fucking film. Anybody who hasn't seen Higher Learning, totally unrelated, go see it. Well, don't go see it. Go fucking
rent it.
Yeah.
Now, it is.
Sorry for all the dad noises. It's been a long weekend.
There's no doubt he was, like I mentioned earlier, Harvard was one of the.
He had a new chair, man.
Harvard was one of those schools that did experiments. The Harvard experiment took place, for sure, we know this, and Ted Kaczynski was a part of it. We know the CIA funded it. They were working on interrogation techniques, how to break somebody down and such. LSD and other drugs were involved. They just tried to, basically, shit they do at Guantanamo Bay now, from what I understand. It was the breaking down of...
we could do a whole episode on that, too.
Yeah.
CIA black sites. There's so many. There's like ships. Do you know that? There's like 4, I think that we know of 4 ships that are just like, will just be stationary somewhere in the ocean. And they'll just like helicopter, like prisoners of the state in, and just, who knows what happens once they're there?
Where was I at? Now, there's no doubt geniuses have some mental issues.
Oh yeah.
They're complex. They're always thinking. I mean, I'm not saying all geniuses are crazy, but there's a little craziness to a genius. Somebody that fucking smart. He had a shitty childhood. I believe he got sick and his parents left him, had to take him to the doctor, and he had to be isolated away from everybody for a certain amount of time in isolation at a young age is not good for a kid.
They're on the other side of a wall with
No.
the fucking that talkie thing, and they're like, "You know this is your fault, right?"
No,
I'm only 6.
they had to actually.
I don't give a fuck, Ted.
They had to leave him there, and they weren't allowed to see him, but like 3 hours a week. Yeah, don't ask me what. I don't even remember what the issue he had was. And then you throw on top of his shitty childhood, his genius, eccentric personality, which most smart people are very eccentric. And then you throw on top these Harvard experiments. It could have broke them.
Told you.
Oh, well, we'll look into that too.
Oh, dude, they're everywhere.
But you
I think there's a fucking place in like the Turks on Caicos or whatever the fuck too. Go on.
you throw this.
Ted Kaczynski.
You throw all his shitty childhood, MK Ultra type breaking down of his mental stability. That probably and could have pushed him over the edge and created the Unabomber. Now I will say this: Ted Kaczynski in a
That's what pisses it really pisses me off that Ted Kaczynski did what he did. Because like that what he did was awful and he killed a fuckload of people.
right
But like
over what 30 years, 25 years.
yeah. But like he's the most interesting one intellectually of like all the murderers.
To be honest with you, his manifesto wasn't fucking wrong. What's going on now? He predicted.
Yeah. Well, because he's also not a serial killer. He's a spree killer, really. Depending on what time period you're talking about.
I don't. No, because he went for over 30 years.
There's times where it's a spree killing. There's times where it's what I mean.
He might be the most successful serial killer of all time. But you throw in
other than what's his face, what's his name? The confession killer, the guy that just fucking started confessing to murders. That there's literally no way that you committed this murder. He's like, well, I did it.
I mean, at least he
had like 4 teeth. All he did was like smoke cigarettes and talk to the cops like they were his buddies.
At least the Unabomber had purpose. He had a reason for it, I guess. Look at it that way.
He's rocking the shit out of those aviators.
But what I will say, in getting back to the Harvard experiments and his participation in that, he did say in a interview later on while he was in jail that, yeah, he took part of those experiments, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like they tortured me. He said, I had one bad experience where they kind of got a little
handsy,
or got a little rough with him, verbally, and broke him down. He said, but overall, it wasn't bad. So who knows? I mean, even that one experience, somebody who was in a fragile mind state anyway and that intelligent could have pushed him over the edge. Who knows? Or maybe he was just outright lying. Who knows? But we know MK Ultra took place at Harvard. We know he took part in it. And maybe he's thinking it wasn't. Everybody's version is different.
Yeah.
I might not think, you might think somebody's torturing you. They do it to me. I don't think it's that bad. Or vice versa. Well, so who knows? I mean, there's no 100% in this. And that's why I put these as the fun stuff where we kind of get to connect some dots. But like I said, his manifesto, motherfucker was not wrong. He predicted a lot of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in the world today and with technology and social media.
Yeah, he was kind of like Aristotle mixed with or Nostradamus mixed with a psychopath.
No, he hit the nail on the proverbial head. We'll go that. Now here's a fun one.
He hit the G spot.
Has anybody ever really hit the G spot?
It doesn't exist.
It's a myth. It's like Atlantis.
Neither does the clitoris or the female orgasm.
I've just never seen them. It's a Bigfoot. I've never seen them.
Oh.
Okay, here's a fun one. Jonestown cult. Now this is interesting. Now I don't know. I found this one late. Jim Jones, if you don't know, was a cult leader.
Who also sold monkeys door to door before he was a cult leader.
He was a preacher that was an atheist. That's what I love. That's one cool thing about him.
And he was like that as a kid.
Right.
He was preaching by the time he was like 11.
And he ruined the shares. The Jonestown cult ruined the shares of Kool-Aid stock.
It like legitimately did affect like the sales of Kool-Aid.
But that is where they put cyanide and shit into the Kool-Aid, supposedly, and killed a bunch of people. Now, there are some conspiracy theories going around that situation.
As far as what? As far as what was the cause of death?
It wasn't Kool-Aid. It was, I believe, just I heard some of the people had injection marks into their either neck or between their shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
I think, okay, CIA killed them. They were saying.
I mean, yeah, but that could just be like the people that saw what happened to the people that drank the punch, and then they got scared, and then you have his cronies doing it.
Well, there was a lot of funky stuff going on. There was a lot of I'll get to some of that right now. But he was a cult leader, didn't like what was going on. They bought property in Guyana. In Guyana, which the property that there are some CIA ties to Jim Jones. The property that they bought was at one time, I believe, was a CIA training ground. Interesting.
And now McDonald's owns it.
Could be a coincidence, but many MK Ultra. This happened, I believe, on November 18th of '78. So after MK Ultra had officially been done. But there are a lot of people that think that MK Ultra morphed into something else. The experiments still
MK Mega.
They kind of pushed away the hippie and going after the hippie movement, testing that version of it, and kind of in LSD, well, not LSD, but they went into more. Okay, let's move this and look at the cults, because a cult, you're brainwashed.
Yeah.
So let's kind of look into this, and this is what brought Jim Jones onto their radar, apparently. So that kind of takes up the time difference between '78, and of course he was even on it
back when in the time period that we're talking about.
But so he probably came in the beginning of the end for MK Ultra, and maybe this morphed into looking at cults or researching, doing the experiments on cults. It kind of makes a little bit of sense. You can connect that dot fairly easily. But
all I can keep thinking of is, how do you think people reacted to finding out about the whole Jonestown thing if they still had a surviving monkey that was bought from Jim Jones?
What?
He sold monkeys door to door.
Oh.
For like $30.
Well,
It's a fucking deal.
That's true, but not
for a monkey. I think they were spider monkeys.
Well, not back in 1960. $30 was
still a fucking monkey.
$30 was like $200.
I feel like $200 is a pretty good deal for a monkey.
I'll get you one for $9.95 down the street. Fuck
yeah, and it's gonna give me AIDS.
Well,
according to what the government says AIDS came from.
Sorry. Now, here's what we do know about Jim Jones. The CIA definitely was aware of him. They had a file on him.
Yeah, that's no shit. Like, I don't know why people would be surprised by that. I feel like there's multiple. There's always whatever number of serial killers on the loose. I feel like the CIA knows about most of them. It just was not a time that would behoove them to catch that person.
Now, and apparently the CIA Security Department, which is in charge of doing background checks, I know nothing. This is what I heard and what I read. This department does background checks and looks into people who are going to be a part of the CIA to get your clearance. They looked into Jim Jones. Now, so does that mean they have
more pull than the regular CIA?
Or no, does that mean they were bringing him in as an asset? I don't know. It's interesting. Who the fuck knows? And Jones was well funded, and there are documentations of CIA agents embedded into the circle of Jim Jones.
Yeah. What was it? What was the fucking name of the church?
I don't have that. But
People something.
He had a vast supply.
That's how you know it's bad. That's how you know you spend too much time on these things, when you start to confuse which name is which cult.
Right. But he was well funded. When they went through after the mass suicide, the supposed mass suicide, they went through that camp or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They had an amazing amount of drugs.
Well, I'm sure.
All the drugs that they would have needed to continue the brainwashing techniques of said MK Ultra.
There are a lot more drugs than that fucking bullshit Fire Festival.
That is true.
That shit's still so shitty, but I find it, but it's funny. I'm like, what the fuck?
But it is interesting that after 73, when, let's face it, this all came out in 73, they had to get away from the universities.
Yeah.
And they had to get away from, the mainstream volunteers and citizens.
Yeah.
Going to the cult movement, you're a little safer.
I feel like it's a really easy fucking group of people to get into because they're all already like, I mean, Jesus Christ, at this point, like Jim Jones had a fuck schedule.
Well, I would too if I was a cult. I've said,
because I mean, that's one of the big things with cults is it's a power thing. It's like there's either a massive amount of sex, but it's all regulated by the leader, or only the leader's the one fucking.
Yeah, I mean, I said I want to know where you apply. Is there a what is that? What's that
Application process
on the website? What
like Monster.com?
Yeah, whatever.
Indeed.
Yes. Can you put out an application, a cult, look you up, and take that job?
Jones List.
Anyway, okay. Now let's get into the fun stuff. Charlie Manson. And we're going to hit Charlie Manson we're going to go a different route and talk about another doctor before we get to Manson, who is probably involved with the Manson family. And that is Dr. Jolly West, or Louis Jolly West. And most of this comes...
Fuck you. You will never be my doctor with a name like Jolly.
He was a psychiatrist. He wasn't a medical doctor.
Wasn't that the name of the weatherman in Family Guy?
I don't know.
No, that was Ollie.
We know I don't watch Family Guy.
Let's check out with Ollie with the weather. It's gonna rain.
You know I don't watch Family Guy.
He said, it's hot out here this summer. What are we doing to escape the heat, Ollie? Swimming pool. They're like super overtly racist connotation of a black weatherman. It's hilarious.
Yes. Most of this information comes from the book Chaos by Tom O'Neill. And it's a book about the Manson family.
Chose.
And if you haven't read the book, I strongly recommend it. Great book. Tom, give me some money.
I'll take your word for it.
It's
Books, literature is the work of the devil.
It is a great fucking book. Now, Mr. Jolly West,
Jolly West. You fuck off.
He was big on my...
I'll be your doctor today. My name's Jolly West. The fuck you will be my doctor. Bitch, your name's Jolly. You turn your happy ass and walk the fuck on out of this office.
Did you shit on me? Somebody shit on me.
I mean, it might have been like, maybe I moved and it released some.
Well, I think his middle name was Jolin, and they called him Jolly. But he was big into mind control, using drugs.
His name is Jolly.
Right. In the 50s and early 60s. Now, West denied he was ever part of MK Ultra up until the day he died. Said, no, was not me. Wasn't me. That was his, and I think he died in the 90s sometime. But it is, and his involvement did make front page news at the New York Times in 77. Now, where he got his start was, earlier we mentioned about the Korean War.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the people they brought in to help deprogram some of these POWs, which was what led to MK Ultra. What the fuck are you laughing about?
His name's Jolly, and that was his job. Was he like the Patch Adams of black, like, what's the word? I'm like, black site goings-ons? He walks in, he's got the colorful tie and everything like that. But he's out there like, I'm going to need you to forget about slaughtering those small, innocent children, Tim.
Apparently he was a big motherfucker. Probably kick your ass. Which you'd think he would if he was named Jolly. He probably got picked on. Apparently he was a big, strapping young boy.
There's no way that's a government name.
That was, like I said, it was his nickname. His name was Louis Jolin West, I believe.
Good.
They just called him Jolly because Jolin's funny. It wasn't...
Still...
Jolly was not on his birth certificate.
My name is Jolly. I'll be your doctor. Please never refer to yourself as that while you're sticking me with needles.
Anyway. But that was where he got his start, was with the deprogram of these. He got critical acclaim for deprogramming this program to deprogram these POWs.
The program to deprogram?
The program to deprogram, correct. of these prisoners of war from North Korea.
And while we're at it, make sure you go on Amazon Prime and check out the film, The Program. I haven't seen that one in a
The
while.
football movie with James Caan
Yeah.
and Omar Epps.
Yeah.
Good movie,
And
actually.
the roided out guy that played one of the racists
Lattimore.
in Higher Learning. It all comes together.
Okay, anyway. Oh, where was I? Now,
Speaking of coming together, go back in this episode and listen to us talk about a guy watching people fuck from the side behind a two-way mirror.
now
Where he also had a toilet. The toilet, I think, is what makes it so weird for me.
Yeah. Now
Hey,
where?
motherfucker, you can't walk out to go take a shit.
No, he couldn't. Now where he ties into Charlie Manson. Eventually, Jolly worked at Oklahoma, which was one of the universities, part of MK Ultra, did some experiments. He came out to San Francisco in the early 60s and kind of joined the hippie movement as an experiment. He wanted to study hippies.
Jolly?
Yes.
Go
Now,
figure.
he had an office at Haight-Ashbury. You know, and there was that
Like
free
right in the core of all of it.
yeah, there was a clinic on the corner that
Mhm.
he actually had an office in, which was the same office or
Did
the
it have a
same.
two-way mirror in it?
What?
Did it have a two-way mirror in it?
I no, probably not. Get off the fucking two-way mirror and toilets. We've moved on.
It's not me that's on the two-way mirror. It's Gottlieb or whatever dumb
No,
name
we've
person.
moved past that. We need to move on. Oh, where was it?
Oh my god, I've never seen a dog that circles more times to look down. I'm glad that my hoodie
Well,
can bring me
she's
such
gonna
happiness.
She's either gonna lay down or shit. One of the two. Anyway, but
I'll get her back if she does.
he had an office at the free clinic that was in Haight-Ashbury, or the free clinic there, which was the same clinic where a lot of people believe, there's some people that believe that Manson was a CIA agent. He was a part of the CIA. Or he was recruited to do what he did. And that free clinic was where he brought up a lot of those girls to get the gonorrhea taken care of, get the fucking penicillin shots. Him and his family would drive up to. They were actually from, when he got out of prison, he was there, and that's where his probation was out of. How he got to L.A.
Yes.
But they would go up there, and Jolly West had an office there. Now, but there's no direct. We are connecting, or even Tom O'Neill was saying that we are connecting some dots here. There's no evidence that they ever met, but same building. They both spent a lot of time there. Odds are they cross paths.
Yeah.
And if they were both kind
If I'm a betting man.
of, yeah, it's not that hard of a stretch. But in this, we'll get into. Actually, I forgot to mention one. You gotta remember, Haight-Ashbury is where that whole movement started. Grateful Dead came from there. Grateful Dead is another one of the groups. It's been long reported that CIA was behind a Grateful Dead. With the LSD movement.
Jerry Garcia was an inside job.
I think the guitarist, not Jerry Garcia, there was the guitarist, I don't know the name, and another one that they say were actually experimented on. But once again, it's hearsay, who knows. But where did all this LSD? Have you seen the hippies back then? They didn't have jobs. How the fuck did they get all this LSD?
Like it just looked like I bet you that whole part of that city just smelled like athlete's foot and yeast infections.
Well, now it just smells like shit because it's all over the ground. They don't even fucking. Anyway, where was I? But this area was ground zero for MK Ultra.
Yes.
Midnight Climax, your buddy who liked to sit on the toilet, drink martinis, jerk off, watch the two-way mirror. We'll go ahead.
It's a hell of a life.
San Francisco. But
see, why didn't he just do it in San Francisco at that time? He wouldn't even need the two-way mirror.
right, this is where he really moved into the LSD. Just Mr. West or Dr. West moved into LSD research.
Mr. West is in the building?
Yes,
There ain't no question who about to kill him?
something like that.
Did he used to have hood dreams?
I don't know. Now, so this is, like I said, this talks about Charlie Manson, but we're going to kind of move away from that because we don't have definite proof. But what we do know for sure, and this is where things get interesting, and where we are talking conspiracies here. there is some connection with the Kennedy assassination in '63 to Mr. West.
Kanye.
Now, not Kanye, killing me. He interviewed Jack Ruby, and for those of you
Great stakes.
born under a rock, Ruby was one who shot Oswald, and because he didn't want what's her name, Mrs. Kennedy, Jacqueline Kennedy, to have to go through a trial, suffer through a trial.
Yeah, I said okay.
But he interviewed
Okay,
him.
Jack.
He interviewed him shortly after, before he Ruby went crazy, had a mental breakdown apparently, and it was before he testified for the Warren Commission.
Look, another Russian bot.
Awesome.
We're killing it.
But he had tried to get on. West had been working to be able to see Ruby. And one judge said no. Eventually he weaseled his way and probably used some CIA contacts to get in and talk to him. And it was really after he interviewed Ruby, is when Ruby kind of went batshit crazy. Because if people will tell you, and the CIA would tell you, MK Ultra was not successful. They had no.
But that's subjective anyway. Like, it wasn't successful to what you wanted to gain from it, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen and things didn't happen because of it.
They had no success in replacing memories and putting memories back in.
Yeah, no shit. The human body does that on its own.
No, but the CIA, there are documents that the CIA withheld that actually connected. Like I said, West denied being a part of the CIA, but there are documents. He was tight with Gottlieb. There's documents that the CIA withheld from the congressional hearing. They were actually West's notes, his reports to the CIA.
Yeah.
I could be getting. West claimed in the other documents that he was successful at being able to remove memories and put new ones in. He had broken the code. He was able to do it through these techniques. The CIA during the hearings left that shit out and just played it off like, nah, it really wasn't that successful. And that is why a lot of people say there was no, excuse me, there was no success in these experiments. But if you think about this, if you're going
to, it's a fucking head scratcher.
If you're going to be successful, if you say you broke this and did it, are you going to say, "Hey, we did it"? Fuck no, you're going to say, "No, we didn't do it."
Right.
It didn't work. But West, and that's what they think West did to Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby was a loose end. This is me talking. He had to go in there, pull some shit out, and Jack Ruby never really understood what he did after he had his mental breakdown. Did he have this mental breakdown due to what West did in this interview when he interviewed him? A hell of a coincidence. A man who could pull things out and put things in. Not penises, Travis. Memories. And if you read Chaos, there's other examples of this being successful. Somebody killing somebody and not remembering it.
Yeah. Because that still comes up from time to time. People like subconsciously killing people or some whatever the fuck.
But if you think about it, the conspiracy theory.
That's what happened with Casey Anthony.
Who knows?
That bitch did it.
Oh, without a doubt. Who knows whether or not, was the CIA involved in Kennedy's assassination? This sending West in to talk, the fact that, like we said, Alan Dulles was on the Warren Commission, a man that JFK fired. JFK wanted to dissolve the CIA. He said these fuckers are getting a little crazy.
What's with all the bots?
I don't know. But these guys were getting a little crazy. and all of a sudden he ends up dead. After Oswald, who is claimed to have shot JFK, a man mysteriously kills him before he can go to trial. A CIA, a psychiatrist known linked to the CIA and MK Ultra goes to visit him. He has a breakdown. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. It's one hell of a coincidence across the board. So
especially considering that Lee Harvey Oswald might not have done it.
Oh, I have no doubt he probably pulled a fucking trigger, but
yeah, if it was the one that killed Kennedy,
who knows? There's
no say.
There's more to that story than meets the eye.
Magic ice bullet.
Yes, where am I fucking at? Oh. But like I said, Chaos is a great book because I mean, he researched this shit for 20 years. Like I said, it's mainly about the Mansons, but it moves into.
You should change the spelling of your name to that.
What, Phil?
Phil Jones.
Actually, I had a teacher.
Somebody in Russia. You're wrong.
I had a teacher spell my name that way. My home economics teacher, for those of you.
Thank God it wasn't an English teacher.
Spelled my name that way, and I think it was 8th grade. I had to take home ec. I was like,
I did too.
No, it's PH. There's no F in my name, you dumb whore.
Oh, the F is silent.
But deadly.
It's 2 B's.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about Charlie Manson.
Let's indeed.
We are about, I'm wrapping up. We'll be a little over 2 hours. Now,
I'm just grooving to the fucking mariachi band.
We know for a fact, like we stated earlier in our MK Ultra portion of this podcast or this episode, the CIA and MK Ultra experimented on inmates in prison.
Yes.
We all know that Charlie Manson spent more time in prison than he did out of prison in his life.
Mm-hmm.
In his early,
starting at what, like 11?
Yes. He was in and out of prison he spent a lot of time in prison in his youth. And at the time he was in prison, got out of prison, or when he just about got it, he was in prison when MK Ultra, if it started in the 50s, he was in prison.
If he was older than 11, he was in prison.
Right. So he went out to, like we talked about, went out to San Francisco. He had, there's a lot of people that think his probation officer could have been connected with the CIA. But he took all his girls to this free clinic, which was basically a CIA front. And the funny thing is, this on a side note, this clinic that is mentioned in Chaos was still up and running, which was, Tom O'Neill said this was a CIA fucking front, was still up and running until the time he let out this book. He let this book out, 2 years ago? They shut that motherfucker down with a quickness. Could be just a coincidence. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Or I mean, it could have less insidious intentions by the time. It very well could have been like that was a CIA site, and then they got rid of it after all this, and then somebody else bought it, and that book just brought a bunch of heat on them, and they were like, "Fuck this."
Right.
But then you would think there would be some type of like defamation lawsuit filed against the author or something like that by them.
Now, like I said, Manson was in prison at the time when they were conducting these experiments.
Play Freebird!
No, don't. The CIA connection with Charlie Manson is very interesting. When he got out of prison, and I think you and I have talked about this sitting at a bar in the past, he was on probation.
Mm-hmm.
He was involved in a lot of shit and got arrested for a lot of shit.
While on probation,
and never went back to
jail. On parole, I think, at one point.
Right. Never went back to jail. It was almost like somebody was pulling some strings. It was above these people's pay grades. That, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
it's chicken.
No, it's a duck. I'm just saying.
Look at all those chickens.
Now, if you look at his family, what they call, his followers, which they call it the family, they were brainwashed.
Oh my God, yeah, those girls were so fucking weird. when they were on camera in the court, like going to and from the courts.
Yeah, and they were even that way even years and years after being in prison.
I think they're just shaving their heads and shit.
And if you look
it's a sign of solidarity.
If you look at what he did during his time there in Haight-Ashbury and then down in L.A., how he treated the family, it was straight out of MK Ultra's playbook. LSD, sex, sleep deprivation. It was straight out of the MK Ultra playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know whether Manson was a part of the CIA or he just was experimented on and he kind of said, and maybe he was fucking smart and knew what the fuck was going on and just learned these techniques from his experiences of being experimented on, and he just experimented on and just used them to create these followers, these devoted followers. I don't know, but it was right out of the MK Ultra playbook. And where did they get the fucking money for the LSD? It's not like they had fucking jobs. Yes, they stole. They were caught stealing, and it's some of the many stuff that he got caught for.
They were hitchhiking.
They never went back to jail.
Moon unit.
Hello.
Unit.
But where did he get the money for all this LSD? And these followers
the
were
Federal Reserve, man.
Oh, no.
For dumb people that don't know how the Federal Reserve works.
Yeah. Don't get me started on the Federal Reserve.
He said, we're going to rob the Federal Reserve. I don't think he knows what that is. I do not. What fuck? What is that from?
I don't know.
It's a movie or a TV show. So it's like a whole episode or a whole movie. He's like, we're going to rob the Federal Reserve. That's not how it works.
No. They just, say, hey, print some more money. But it was, like I said, how he did these followers and how he got these people to be so devoted to him was right out of their MK Ultra playbook. Where he learned it or the date, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a hell of a coincidence, and you just can't say no. Absolutely not. There's no part of this was CIA involvement. Yes, there was some CIA involvement, whether or not they were told him what to do or he just understood what they were doing to him and just used those same techniques. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Or even if they just knew what was going on there, like, yeah, we're not worried about that.
But the fact, like we said earlier, the fact that he could just had carte blanche, could do whatever the fuck he wanted and not go back to prison, that didn't mean he was a protected guy.
So that, especially because you think about it, that happened, and then the Sharon Tate things happens where he doesn't actually. The man was never convicted of killing anybody. People ends up dying in prison when people who actually killed people on his behalf didn't.
Right. I mean, think of the power he had over them to get them to kill. How many? There was 3 people at Sharon Tate's house. They killed 3 or 4 people there.
I don't know. I just know it would have been better off if Roman Polanski was there too.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think the other one, what was it, LeBlanc or LeBlanca or whatever the second night of killings was just a husband and wife.
Yeah.
But and think about he got them to do this. He got girls, females, and females can kill people too, but they don't do it. You can do whatever a man does, woman. You go, girl.
You can kill motherfuckers too.
But to get a woman to kill somebody, they are more rational than us men.
Yeah, for the most part.
I can see how you and I can lose control and kill somebody. You have to really piss a woman off for her to kill you.
Because it depends on the woman.
But to get women in old Tex to kill Tate.
Yeah, but from what I understand, Tex was a fucking psycho anyway.
Right. The way it sounds, yes. But they were so devoted.
Or a junkie.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man. But to get these girls to do that, and look at, they had to be brainwashed. They were brainwashed. There's no arguing that fact. They were 100% brainwashed.
The Manson family?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, at least most of them.
Because look at Manson. Not an ugly man. Or not a good-looking man. Ugly as fuck.
He wasn't terrible looking in his younger years.
And he was 5'2". He made Tom Cruise look tall. He was 5'2", ugly as fuck. Even in his younger years, he was ugly as fuck.
And he didn't look as good as Tom Cruise when he ranted.
No.
He never had a, go ahead, Louis, burn it all, burn everything we own.
So I don't know. I mean, it's fascinating to think about. I don't know for sure, but I'd be willing to bet at least Manson was a part of it. He was at least experimented on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going out on a limb and say he definitely was taught these by the CIA or he was working for the CIA.
But even if somebody can prove that he wasn't, there's too much stuff to point to. The government was involved with that person somehow, some way, even if it wasn't that.
I mean, there's some people that think.
So of course you're gonna automatically kind of bridge that gap, as well, because it's just kind of all signs point to yes.
I mean, there's some people, and O'Neill talks about this in the book. That there's some people that believe that the Manson thing, it was all just to kill. We know the government hated the hippie movement.
Yeah.
Even though MK Ultra, let's be honest, started the hippie movement. They introduced LSD into these colleges.
I mean, the CIA has a fucking a killer record with that. Look at the fucking war on drugs with crack.
Right.
Where'd the crack come from? The fucking CIA.
From Arkansas being dropped.
And they even they have admitted to that by this point.
But CIA created the hippie movement by introducing college kids to mind-altering drugs, and who would have thought that college kids would take that and run with it? I mean, it didn't take a rocket.
Let me think of that fucking scene from Freddy Got Fingered. He said, oh, Freddy, I only see one LeBaron. Is there another LeBaron? Who got a LeBaron, Freddy?
I mean, so the CIA created the hippie movement by introducing LSD.
I mean, if you really look at it, the CIA has been the CIA has been behind everything drug related.
Oh,
that has become an epidemic.
Right.
It's all been CIA warranted or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
You'll get no argument from me. Now, we know, like I said, the CIA they introduced LSD and basically got the hippie.
I couldn't get lately.
The hippie ball.
Check us out on TikTok.
The hippie ball rolling, but
call that an 8-ball.
The FBI
Ow.
and Mr. Whatever, I'm fucking drawing like what was the fucking Hoover hated the fucking hippie movement and was trying to.
J. Edgar
was actively trying to, crush it.
You think anybody was just mistakenly called him Jedgar?
Yes, probably.
He's like, God damn it! Why does that happen so often? You put the period in there, right, Barbara? Fuck.
There's a lot of people that think that the Manson incident, those murders were to actually try to get people afraid of the hippies to end the hippie movement.
It worked.
To a certain extent. I mean, yeah.
It was a good kick in that direction.
So before we get out of here, or before we start talking to we just start a bullshit session, I have a question for you.
7.
No. I want your opinion on something. I thought about this MK Ultra thing and what it did. We talked about the Unabomber.
We talked about the 2-way mirror poop room.
Yes, with a martini and jerking to Kirkin.
It's literally, it's not even the toilet. That's lazy. It's the martinis that makes it so fucking creepy.
If you're drinking a good old Bud Light, I'll be all right with it.
No, I don't give a fuck any alcohol. You should have water and bread. You're supposed to be at work. You're not sitting there sipping on cocktails watching people fuck.
Hey, is it really work if you enjoy what you do? If you love what you're doing? Hey, if I could get paid to jerk off and watch people have sex, I might do it. But I'm an old fucker. Anyway, no, my question is, we know MK Ultra. Created the Unabomber. Fucked people up. They're calls Olsen to jump out a fucking window. Supposedly. Or be struck in the head and then pushed out a window. Either way.
He died from massive trauma from jumping from a first-story window.
Gravity is a bitch. 3 feet of gravity is a bitch. Now,
he put on several weighted vests, which caused him to fall that 6 feet at a greater speed.
We do not know how many people was actually experimented on. Probably an enormous amount. We know it just wasn't inmates and criminals.
Excuse me, motherfucker.
Universities, college students like Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah.
Think about this. How many serial killers were in the 60s, 70s, and even early 80s?
Most of the ones we know about.
No. Could it be that...
It's like that meme when it's like, my parents, oh, I miss the good old days when it was safe for our children. It was like the good old days. And it was like Gacy, Bundy, Dahmer.
Right, yeah. I mean, think about, is it possible that the CIA, with this MKUltra, fucked up a lot of people and just released these fucking animals into the wild?
Yeah, probably.
Not knowing they were like what they did to Kaczynski.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't know they were fucking them up, but... And could that be why you get into the 80s, late 80s, the serial killer movement, not movement, but you don't hear about it. There's not as many. You don't hear about as many.
Yeah.
Now,
well, and also it's like, who's to say that this whole thing didn't turn into like, maybe it was an experiment that didn't go the way they wanted it to go, but they then also flipped it and they were like, well, let's start this 30, 40-year process of scare tactic to get this other thing done we want to do.
Well, I was going more like, and they even said they used people that weren't all there, that had some issues to begin with. You break these people fucking down, shoot them full of mind-altering drugs. That seems like a good recipe for a fucking serial killer. You take away their empathy or that whatever it is that keeps people from doing horrible shit.
The medulla oblongata.
Like what they did to Kaczynski. And I read this, or I saw this on a video. There are some people that believe Kaczynski was a Zodiac killer. That was where he got his start before he went to the bombs, because he was at Berkeley when all that shit was going down.
Yeah,
I don't know I've never looked into it. I just heard this. That would be interesting to look into.
It's not more. It's a stretch to me just because of the drastic difference in the styles. Well, between the Zodiac killer and what he actually confirmed did.
Set bombs.
Yeah, there's a drastic difference there. Right. Which usually isn't very common. Usually, when you have a killer, the killer does what the killer does.
But the killer evolves. Maybe
sometimes. Well, but not to that extreme usually, where you're going from like a personal one-on-one thing to now you're setting bombs to kill buildings full of people.
Maybe this is something we can look into for a future episode.
We'll have to.
Because wait, the Zodiac's
we'll have to stand behind the two-way mirror of that case.
The Zodiac's one with the ciphers, right? They still haven't cracked it, or didn't they just crack them?
Yeah, they identified him, or so they say at least.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying they're right. I don't fucking know. I'm not a CIA fucking cracker guy, whatever the fuck they call him. Code cracker.
I think it is very possible they were experimenting, dosing up, fucking these people up, and then released them out in the wild. It's very possible some of them became, I know there's no connection to the Son of Sam or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Zodiac, BTK.
I mean, there very well could be a connection to all of it.
Could they all be? And that is why we don't have as many serial killers now, because MKUltra has kind of died down a little bit. Maybe. Or is it because we don't glorify them like we did in the 70s?
Right.
And we don't give them fancy little names like Zodiac and Son of Sam and shit like that.
Right.
I mean, who knows? I don't know. I think it's very interesting, the timeline during the MKUltra shit. Immediately following that, even during it, you get this what seems to be spike in serial killers.
Yeah.
And then it goes away a little bit. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's just puzzle pieces that kind of fit together.
Right. I mean, it might not be correct. I'm not saying 100%, but it's very fucking interesting.
We're not saying 100%. We're saying 99.5%.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Okay, we got a couple minutes. I'm about done. I think. Yeah, I'm done. I'm fucking done. I don't want to do it anymore. Fuck it. I mean, I just think that's interesting with the serial killer.
Yeah.
But it goes back to, if you think the government gives a fuck about you, it would never do anything to hurt you. This is a perfect example of...
You're a fucking idiot.
You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
These were people doing scientific experiments on people.
Yeah.
Trust the science, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Like there's a reason why they're called leaders and we're followers.
But I mean, there are fucked up people, and the government does. And this isn't even the worst. I don't even think this. I'm going to start researching it. We've talked a little bit about it. There's another case of the U.S. government experimenting on people that we are going to cover here soon, one of these days. I might even start outlining it here the next week or two.
They don't kick us out first.
And I think it's even worse than this.
I believe it.
So I don't. Anybody says, "Oh, the government wouldn't do anything to hurt its citizens," fuck yeah, they would.
Right.
And then look at what. And people talk about Hitler and what the Nazis did to the Jews. At least they were fucking upfront about it. They didn't hide the shit. We've done. My point is, we've done some fucked. Our leaders have done some fucked up things to us as well.
Behind the curtains.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is a whole nother level, not like downplaying anything, but like it's a whole nother level when you add secrecy into all of that as well.
Don't tell me that in the name of national security, the governments or the individuals inside the government won't do something that breaks the law.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about you.
Oh no, they don't give a fuck about any of us.
Okay.
One person doesn't fucking matter to them.
No. And even a couple hundred.
Yeah.
Even 1,000.
Yeah.
Like Bill Burr says, half of us need to go anyway.
Probably.
We're all assholes. So when somebody says that, if somebody looks at you and says, the government will never do anything, you should trust the government. Bring up this.
Right.
Say, look into MK Ultra. Yes. And we want to bitch about weapons of mass destruction and
mass destruction.
mass destruction in Iraq and using chemical weapons on its people. When we did this, why the fuck hasn't somebody invaded us yet?
Right.
Because all governments do shady shit. Every government that's ever existed, every political leader or leaders or whatever, which is under the umbrella of government, has done fucked up shit to other people and their own fucking citizens. It's just the way it is.
Facts.
But trust the science, people.
The science of the government. Trust your government. Just fuck it. Do whatever you want.
And I'm not saying that's 100. I'm just saying you have to be aware that the government does some fucked up shit. Yeah. It's okay to ask fucking questions.
Yeah, they might kill you for it, but it's cool.
Or cancel you and take away all your social media. Or Neil Young might say, take them off Spotify.
Jesus, idiot.
Travis and Phil were talking bad about the government. Take my music off Spotify.
Well, no, he told him to take Joe Rogan off Spotify, and they took him off Spotify.
Oh, he took himself. He said, fuck it, I'm taking. Neil Young hasn't been relevant in 35 fucking years.
I couldn't even tell you a Neil Young song at this time.
Played one
and I know plenty of them, but I couldn't tell you.
They played one last night at the bar.
Did they?
Keep on Rocking a Free Roll is the only one fucking people even know. And that song sucks.
Go fuck yourself.
That song sucks. And Joni Mitchell, I can't even think of one song that hooker did. Fuck. Oh, goddamn. They are. I will say they are going after Joe like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
But fuck it.
Good thing he's probably, like, on paper, a billionaire at this point.
Well, it's like I was listening. He didn't get all that money up front.
No, but I would say with his endorsements and all the jobs he does and all the shit he does, like all that, he's got to be a paper billionaire.
Oh, I would imagine. But even if Spotify
or flirting with it.
If Spotify would give in and kick him off, they're still going to write him a check.
Yeah,
you're paying him off,
and he's going to be just fine.
He'll be fine and probably be bigger. And that's what I love about these fuckers.
Right, there's a reason why Spotify paid him so much money, because he did them a favor. By bringing all the people that weren't using Spotify to listen to his shit.
There is a hey, we are on Spotify. Spotify owns the company that our podcast feed.
Yes.
So I love Spotify.
I have it. I don't personally use it.
I listen. The only thing I listen to ours every now and then just to see what it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't use it very often, but I have it.
But if I listen to Rogan, I'll listen to that. But what was I saying? Fuck. I've been MK Ultra. Did you remove my memory, you fucker? 90 million, right. But that's what these fucking people that want to cancel people and like go after Rogan, Do they not understand? The more you bitch about something, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Right.
They are making him fucking bigger. And
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you can't get much bigger than that. So I don't know. Oh well.
Joe No Say. Let's see.
Yeah, but like I was saying, Justin, if they cancel him, if Spotify would, his contract, I guarantee is guaranteed. If they would say tomorrow, we got to take you down, we got to cut ties with you, they're going to have to cut him a fucking check and probably pay off the rest of that contract. I would imagine a substantial part of that contract is guaranteed. But this is why we don't have millions of listeners. We don't have to worry about this shit.
Right.
The 100 people that listen to us or hear our voices over the fucking course of a week, nobody's going to, if they complain, nobody's going to hear.
That's not as much as I thought it'd be.
Yes, I believe you are correct. I've heard the Barbra Streisand effect as well.
What?
I will get into it after that. We got to call this.
Yeah, that's not quite as much as I thought.
What?
They estimate that Joe Rogan, as of last year, is only worth about $100 million. Figured it'd be more than that.
Oh, I would say he's probably worth.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, are we talking about liquid assets, or are we talking about like on paper, like future shit, that money that is coming to him in the future?
I mean, I would say it. Let's just say, I figure he was raking in about $90 million a year.
They say
with advertising.
The numbers I just saw said he makes about $100,000 per episode of his podcast.
And he does what? At least 190 to 200 a year?
Yeah, because he does at least 2 a week, right?
No, he does at least 4 a week most times, unless somebody goes on vacation.
How do you have time for that? Especially for him, he's doing like 3 and 4 hour episodes.
Well, trust me, if we made $100,000 an episode, we'd be doing 5 of these motherfuckers and with bells on. And we would talk about all kinds of shit.
If I made $100,000 episode, I'd be doing 5 episodes a day.
Or we could do fucking 2 a year and call it quits. Do about 10 episodes in one day and fucking just...
How'd they run out of that good podcast money? Well, they only made 4.
But they got $400,000 and then they drank all of it away and forgot they had to pay taxes.
And if we had a super sick studio.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but it's just getting fucking crazy. I look for them to start cracking down on podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
They're not
because it's massive now.
They're not going to give a fuck about us. We are not even on the fucking radar of anybody.
So you know what that means? Once they start taking out the bigger fish, the minnows will take over.
Yes. So anything you want to? Just an update. Next Sunday, there will be no podcast because of the Super Bowl, and the Bengals are playing in. So I will be getting drunk and watching the Super Bowl. We will be here Monday. We will do this at probably 8:00 Monday.
I'll have to see. I don't know. I have to look at the schedule. I'm not sure what it's looking like.
Probably Monday. We will probably be here Monday at some point. Most likely.
Yeah, because I have to work Sunday, so Sunday definitely gonna happen.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm watching the Super Bowl, and I'll probably be at your work.
Yeah.
I might get there early.
You better.
I don't think it's gonna be fucking crowded. Too many people do private parties.
I don't know, but for the AFC Championship, the first person in that building was there at 9:45, and we opened at 11.
But nobody has AFC Championship parties. Everybody has Super Bowl parties, private, at their house. I don't look for it to be that fucking crowded.
Not with COVID.
I don't know.
We'll see.
But bottom line is,
it will be even with parties, every bar is gonna be fucking packed.
I will be. Well, fuck, I will get there. Pick me up on your way in, motherfucker. How about that? What time you go in?
11.
Time you open?
11.
Pick me up on the way in. Fuck it. You gotta drive right by here.
True.
No. So Sunday there will be no episode. It'll be probably Monday or sometime through the week. And we're going back to true crime. We're doing a serial killer. Plural. That will be the that will be what next in episode 169 will be. What?
69.
Yes, we are getting to 169. So, and then I've got some ideas for some future episodes. I think I want to do a Area 52 episode. I've got some notes on that.
We still have one episode planned, Art, still, right?
Yes.
After mine?
Yes, we have one. What the fuck was it, though?
There's another one of yours.
It might have been Area 52. Maybe that's. I don't know. I have to. It's written down out there. But that.
I'm just going to start taking notes on interesting stuff, and I'll just be like, there we go. That's what we're doing.
But like I said, that other government testing thing they did, that's coming up. We're going to do that.
731?
No,
Oh, the U.S. one?
the U.S.
Okay.
I'm going to start researching. That's coming up. I will not tell you people what it is. You have to tune in to check it out. But it is a doozy. And it's not as well. It's more conspiracy than MK Ultra. But there are some very nice dots to be connected in this one. And if they are true, yes, that is it, Justin Dugway. Proving Grounds, that is Area 52. That is what we're going to do here soon. That might be episode 170. I'll have to look.
I'm just here to look pretty.
Well, that is complete and utter fail
I'm just along for the ride.
with your holy ass shirt. All right. I think that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, I need a cigarette.
Be sure to follow us on all our social
it's
medias. You
8:30
can follow us on Instagram at night, all right, ghost _ night _ podcast, Twitter at night _ ghost, Facebook at ghost in the night, and on TikTok at gitn.podcast. Those are the best way to keep up on when we're going to do the episode. So next week, episode 169, follow us on one of those, and you will know.
Yes, I'll actually start making Instagram posts again.
Yes.
Sake of fuck.
Hopefully. If you want to support the podcast,
I'm off camera.
That's okay. Be sure to go to patreon.com/GITN podcast. That is where we do some bonus episodes, and we have there's a bunch of older back investigation episodes that I've done. And we talked about doing another one last night.
I was drunk last night.
Oh, there's a Bigfoot. You watched the Bigfoot thing.
Oh my god, dude, yes. Holy shit.
We're going to do...
I was legitimately I was about to start yelling at my TV by myself.
Yeah, because you're texting me at like 1:30 in the morning.
Because I was
Bigfoot.
Dude, I was thinking, I was like, we need to figure out a way where we can like timestamp and shit and be like, pause. So if people want to watch along, they can. I literally, like, every minute and a half of that film, I have something to say.
Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll do a Patreon episode about it, like a review of it, and kind of go, and then we'll do a live stream, like kind of do that. I have to figure out how to do that, and have people watch it with us. But it's Bigfoot, and it's great. There's another thing I wanted to do. I wanted to get with you about. What was I watching? Oh, man, I want to get vampires. There's a new series. There's a new show. It's on this Travel Channel.
About vampires?
Yes, Vampires in America.
Really?
It is.
It's got to be a limited series.
No, it's like an hour and a half doc kind of.
Oh, okay.
Supposed to be.
I was gonna say, because you can't really make much of a show out of that. It's very short lived.
But it's
unlike vampires.
It's very mountain monster-esque. You think these are fucking actual documentary, but the interviews that they do, and I didn't catch the very beginning of it.
No, we're not talking about a Bigfoot show. It's a movie. I put it on. I've seen it before.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I think I've seen it too. But
the first time I watched it, I watched 45 minutes of it before I realized it was real. I thought it was supposed to be a joke.
But like I said, this Vampires in America thing, if you go check it out, it's on Discovery Channel.
There you go. Gregory watched the Bigfoot thing
or the
vampire thing. Alaska has fucking everything.
But, oh yeah. But it started out, I was like, okay, cool. And these guys are serious vampire hunters, apparently. I was like, okay, whatever, float your boat. It'd be cool if vampires
whatever, dude.
I mean, it'd be cool if vampires are real. I dig it. I'm down. But then they did their first interview, the first interview I saw, I was like, that guy is way too... it was about Bigfoot. Oh, no, vampires. You saw it was vampires. Was it not? Gregory saw it. But ties in a lot of all the missing people and everything. But anyway, the first person they interviewed, the rancher.
What about Weed and Bigfoot? Nah, he's talking about the Netflix show. That was fucking stupid too.
What?
Have you seen that?
No.
The Netflix miniseries about it was like Bigfoot and weed and murder, but literally, fuck off. Like it literally has nothing to do with Bigfoot.
Right.
As far as Sasquatch.
But every one of these
Squatch.
every one of these interviews that they did were the actors, but they were actors. They were the people they were interviewing were way too. They were acting. You could tell they were acting. I'm like, and then they were visiting one of these like a truck stop, an abandoned truck parking truck lot.
No, that's not the one. That's not the Bigfoot documentary I'm talking about. We'll reveal it later.
Yeah, but Gregory,
it's easy. Like you could probably find it on anything right now, but until we figure out how we're gonna do this episode, because I would like to watch it live. Like obviously can't put it on there or have sound on or anything like that, but and then just kind of like
do a watch party type thing.
Yeah, and we can just say like if we pause, we can say what time it's at when we pause, and then later on we can just throw throw timestamps on the video.
Pause the shit now. But Gregory saw the vampire one.
I'll have to watch it.
But this was so, and they did anyway. They were in an old truck where semis used to park. It wasn't working anymore, and they were doing a thing. They found blood. They found luminol. They found blood. And then all of a sudden, it was so fucking hilarious. Like I said, it's Mountain Monster-esque.
Yeah.
And they were standing between two semi-trailers. They were looking this way, and the camera was pointing at them because they heard a noise. And then behind them, at the end of the trailer, a man walks out. And they're just kind of like this. They heard that noise. They kind of went like this. Real slow. The guy's behind them. Literally like this. And start running and chasing him. And then and as they're chasing him.
Oh, look at another Russian fucking bot.
As they're chasing this, what they want you to believe is a vampire, how many cameramen they got? Because they got pictures of the guy running before the cameraman set up. I'm like, come on, dude, really? You fuckers. But every one of the interviews that I saw, like I said, I missed the first 5-10 minutes of it.
And it's on what?
It's on Travel Channel.
Okay, I got Discovery Plus, so we're good.
I saved it. I recorded the fucking shit.
Yeah, I've got Discovery Plus. I can watch it whenever.
But every one of the interviews you could tell they were acting.
Yeah.
These were recreations. They weren't interviewing people. I'm like, you motherfuckers. I mean, it'd be cool if, at the end they made links to what they think is a vampire that owns storage units all across the country. They go to one. It's unlocked, or its gates open. And then they're walking, looking, and they find a bunch of lockers or whatever, storage ones that are unlocked, and there's a coffin or a box inside.
Of course, Jesus.
I'm
Christ.
like, Jesus Christ!
Eat a bag of dicks.
Now, if I am a vampire hunter, if I could speak, I'm going to find that, and I walk in there. I open the first one, and there's like tubs of what had blood in it.
Of course there is.
I'm like, I ain't going. I'm out. I'm done. I'm gone. Holy shit, this shit's real. I'm out. But no, they open up a bunch of them. Apparently,
there was a Kevlar bandana.
Yes, he had.
What the? Oh my God! So he can't get bit.
And they can't, so they can't see, because in every vampire movie, the veins start pumping. The vampire can pick up on it. That way, can't bite through it because it's Kevlar. And yes, Greg, you are absolutely right. But they can't see the vein pumping. What's Jess?
Oh man, he's talking about Discovery Plus.
Oh.
I have Discovery Plus.
Yes, but Gregory, that is correct. I forgot about it. And okay,
that's the main thing that James Woods' character was missing in John Carpenter's Vampires. Or Billy Baldwin, whichever Baldwin it was.
This his partner is from, I guess, Romania or whatever.
Of course,
and he comes from a long line of fucking vampires.
Was his last name Van Helsing too?
No, close, but not. But he walked around with a machete. He went. They were going to this warehouse where a girl was murdered.
Machete out, ready to go.
And walked in. The guy wasn't there, so he was walking around with a machete to do an interview. I'm like, I ain't gonna talk to anybody with a machete. But apparently, here's how you know it's true. I can't even say this with a straight face. Apparently, if you see a V with a circle around it, that's like the old hobo used to do.
Like that's the mark of the vampire.
That means
that's really original.
No, that means it's safe. You can breed. You can feed here. Now, if you see,
so it's Blade,
right? But you see a circle with a V with a circle and a line through it,
it's not safe.
That means we've been found out. We're moving on. Flip it upside down. It's the anarchy. Anarchy. Oh my God! You have to watch this fucking shit. It is hilarious. I mean, I would get it. I would actually watch it. I was going to think it was somewhat
the
serious.
Kevlar bandana.
Somewhat serious. I mean, it's very and I do agree with one thing. If vampires do exist, they're subspecies of us, and they're not human.
Yeah,
they could have been around. If they're going to exist, that's how they would exist. Kind of like Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
They were around a long time, and they're just a different version of a humanoid type. Okay, I can get down with this. I wouldn't fault you for thinking this.
It's just that every other part of the show was absolute asinine bullshit.
But when they lost me,
Kevlar bandana, go fuck yourself.
They lost me when they said that. What's his name? Bram Stoker. The whole thing was, I believe, he was in. A vampire came to him, and was telling him this and leading up to all the vampire stuff up to now is all like psyop.
So basically what's the word I'm looking for here? Their premise, if you will, is basically that Bram Stoker was what's his name from Interview?
Oh, I almost said
fuck, what's his name?
Slater.
Yes. So Bram Stoker is Christian Slater from Interview with a Vampire.
Pretty much.
What the fuck?
Pretty much.
Go fuck yourselves. I'm going to watch this show, and I have a feeling I'm going to have a good laugh.
Oh, it is fun. Like I said, I started watching. I said, okay, this is cool. I'll be down to here. It wouldn't surprise me if there's ghost hunters. Why couldn't they be vampires? I wouldn't even shame you for that. I might even go with you.
I wouldn't. Fuck that.
I'd be interested. But then when I was like, you motherfuckers, this is Mountain Monsters all over again.
Oh, I've got heartburn.
And when the whole truck thing where they were chasing somebody, I'm like, okay, you lost me here. But Van Helsing, he hadn't killed him.
Was Van Helsing in this one?
Well, no, the guy who might as well have been Van Helsing carried the machete. He was like, he said, I never had to destroy one, but I saw my father do it. They've been doing it for generations.
Maybe.
But apparently, the big hangout of vampires, they're all from Romania, but they kind of spread out.
Oh, they're all originally from Romania?
Yes.
So they're not vampires, they're just Romanians.
Maybe.
Romanians and vampires. You heard it here first,
and then
folks.
They have, it's like Underworld. They took all the vampire movies.
Mm-hmm.
They made, like Underworld, they have a hierarchy, and they take turns.
I would imagine if this is a real thing, they probably do have a hierarchy.
They go into hibernation. They did say they weren't immortal. They just age slower, and they can hibernate. So they can hibernate for 100 years and wake back up. And when they wake up,
like their aging process stops if they hibernate.
No, I guess, and they slow down. Which yeah, I guess. So if they're 80, they might look 30, and they so
it's basically a mosquito mixed with a human mixed with a cicada.
Yeah, exactly. With a coffin.
Huh. I like it.
But they had me. They had me until
when I'm watching the new vampire documentary. What is this? It's a human mixed with a cicada mixed with a mosquito. I like it. Picasso.
All right. I think that's going to do it. We are going to get out of here. Any last words?
I guess I got to watch some vampire shit now.
It's fucking awesome. All right.
I have a feeling I'm going to hate every second of it. In an entertaining way.
You'll laugh. You will laugh.
Dude, just wait till... I'm pretty sure you've seen this Bigfoot movie, but wait till you rewatch it. Literally, I shit you not. I couldn't go 5 minutes without having some smart ass shit to say. It was astounding how fucking stupid this movie that's supposed to be real and is supposed to be a legitimate thing.
A true document. It's probably like Vampires in America.
It literally made me want to just set, like it made me want to like burn down the rainforest. Like that's how bad it was.
Sweet.
All right, you want to close this out?
All right,
I'm gonna run to the bathroom.
All right, we'll see you not next Sunday, but probably Monday. Worst case scenario Tuesday. But follow us on social media, and you will get to know, or you will know when we are going to go live. We will definitely not be going live on Super Bowl Sunday. And kiss my ass. All right, I'm taking the day off and getting drunk. All right, we'll see you.